Hey everybody, Torque here. Going to give you a quick rundown on the Mech. Nothing too crazy here. Just want to give everybody a quick demonstration of how things work. So just to show you that it's going to work right out of the box. Don't worry about the blue screens. That's all debugging. Everything that you need is in these two screens. The first hotbar will be occupied by the buttons. That's what the buttons do. That's the screen that you're looking at. If you want to be able to walk around or be able to move the mech, you're going to actually have to be in the control menu. But while you're flying around, it's actually kind of convenient to just stay in the main menu. Because as you can see, if I were in controls, you'd actually be walking right now. So everything is just foot triggered. You don't have to use foot locking for future designs, but if you want to get the ambulation and the full control, as soon as it touches, it's going to know that it's in lock mode, and you'll be able to start orienting. You have Q and E, full mouse, A and D on the lifted foot, W and S for stepping forwards and backwards. Just step into the ground, let the magnets do the work. Just to show you, it's got a decent amount of range of motion. The pig controller is also fairly stable. You won't be able to necessarily push it right out of whack. And then of course when you're ready, oh, is it still? Oh, okay. Oh, right, yeah, and if you want to zero the mech out by 6, it goes back to its default position. There are a few options that you can modify. Go down and turn on descriptions real quick. So this guy here, well, you can read the descriptions if you want. They're fairly self-explanatory, but basically, essentially there's an amount of time between each of the frames. Just go look at the editor real quick. At any given time, there's going to be 2 of the frames loaded, and it'll be interpolating between the 2. At the moment that a foot lets go, one foot connects and then another foot lets go. At that moment, there's going to be a time period where that foot will still be close enough that it may be able to connect again. So that threshold increases the amount of time that it takes before it can do a relock. So if it's too small, you'll just end up with a stutter step. So this is the how far the PID controller will allow the joints to get away from each other, or sorry, not away from each other, away from their targets before it will allow the next frame to push. So if, say for example, you're in gravity or something like that, or you're in a step, oh, here we go, and some of the joints are a little weaker or they're a little slower, and so it's not syncing up properly. Basically, the next frame won't load until all of them have gotten within that threshold. And then we have there's the acceleration rate, which is basically how quickly the stator can increase or decrease in speed, that maximum value. The mouse sensitivity, which is basically a cap on how much input you can get. This is how much you can adjust the values in the editor itself. So if I were to go to one of the values, for example, left ankle here, and we go into edit, and then we can start incrementing and decrementing this this frame right on site. Continue on. This is for the saving and loading of the data. So basically, this prevents it from automatically overwriting. This is the ignore feet feature. If you don't build feet, it's basically already ignoring feet. But if you have feet and for whatever reason you need them to be ignored, that toggle is there for you. Autosave, that just makes it so that it will continue to resave any sequences or joints that you have. If you have a much larger library, You could turn this off so it's not quite as fast, but if you leave it on, any changes you make will automatically update right away. This is so that when you actually go between frames, you can actually see which one you're actually looking at. And then we can go, I think there's only a couple more left. Yeah, so this guy here is basically, the stators are always under control. One of them is the stator target is what actually passes the target data to the stator. If there is no active target data, the stator controller will just try to make sure all stators are at 0 speed, and then this disables that control system. We have, yeah, so the descriptions, and then this is what toggles the orienting on and off. So if I was down on the ground, for example, so as you can see, no problem, I can move the mech around. If we toggle that system off, now there's no more orientation. You still have the ability to move the mech, although albeit probably not all that accurately. The toes do a little bit of work. I also left a toggle right in the control itself. And this is nice. If it starts to get like too out of whack, just turn the planing off, let it center itself out, and then turn it back on, and then you're good to go. But it's pretty stable. It should be fine. And the flight control toggles with any foot being locked. So even if all the magnets break or for whatever reason it does disconnect, the flight system will kick on anytime it knows that it's not currently locked to the ground. So if you want to unlock both feet, just press 2, and there you go. And that is the Ogre Mech script. I eventually will, like I said, I'm planning on making improvements. I've been improving the way that the setup system actually works so that it's easier to add new joint sets and frames. I'll probably do a video on how the animation system works in a little bit more depth, and also one on how to actually set up your own design with this script. But yeah, please give this a shot and let me know what you think in the comments, and stay safe out there.